Hey y'all, welcome back to the Socially Awesome channel. Elise Smith here, and I am so excited today to have a guest with me. Ryan Swanson is the founder and president of Linkasoarus. Linkasoarus is actually a tool, and I'm gonna let him go into a lot more detail about it here shortly. But it's a tool that I have personally used, tested, I've seen it from the beginning, and I'm excited for him to share it because it is something that I use day to day with my clients. As you all know, I manage lots of franchise locations and all of their assets on Facebook, and I can't wait to dive in. So thank you, Ryan, so much for being here. I first want to start out with a little bit about you, your story, how you got into entrepreneurship. Tell me all the things.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the nice invite, making me sound good. But yeah, I think just from kind of how I got started in just the different things that I do, I going way back, I went to undergrad and grad school at East Carolina in Greenville, North Carolina. And I've always kind of had this entrepreneurship mindset. My parents had a dental practice. My dad had his own construction company when I was much younger. And funny story, when I was in grad school getting my master's in business, I didn't really have time to have a job because I was getting a 2-year degree in 1 year because I'm quite frugal. And so I was like, well, if I could save a whole year tuition. And this was in the year, it was 99 to 2000. So I was about 23 at the time. And I'm a big EDM guy. That's the kind of music I like. I work out to that. It's just what I've liked for forever. And so in college, in the 99s, it was the rave scene was really big. And I went to a party, rave, whatever, and I knew the promoters, and the dude made $20,000 in one night at the door. And I was like, hold on a sec. And just being my business savviness, I was like, I could pull off this. And literally took all my student loan money, advanced on my credit cards, and even borrowed money from my friends and flew DJs across the all United States, rented out a roller skating rink and upfitted it with the whole stereo system and everything. And we had 1,000 people show up at $20 a head with 18 inches of snow that randomly fell on the ground. And I covered all my expenses, but I was like, this is kind of cool. And so that was kind of my first knowledge of business, like insurance and just the different things that kind of go into stuff. And then about, I guess, 18 years into my career in the QSR industry, I just felt the need to try to help my company that I was working with. And then that turned into, hey, I'm helping our franchise with this. Can I help? Maybe there's other people I can help. And I just realized, okay, helping people is sort of a feel-good thing. And if you can monetize that, not at the expense of somebody else, but by providing value, then it's kind of turned into my passion. And that's where we're at right now.
Okay, so if anybody ever gets this video, they're going to see my facial expressions because I'm going the whole time. One, that explains why you have really good teeth. Two, a rave? Holy smokes. I'm going, that's a really good idea. I kind of want to do that. Oh my gosh. So that is interesting. And such a way to get into entrepreneurship is by throwing parties. I mean, hello, you were a party planner. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about, I've heard you say before, like, one of the pain points for you with the company you are with, in the quick service industry, was like maybe finding out about things months after they happened, and some of that best practice sharing too, right? Because there was like no quick way to hear what people were doing or what was working until we had our once a year meeting. And then it's, well, that's kind of late. So I know you've set this platform up not only to make it easy for people to best practice share, but also easy for, someone to train their entire teams. And so can you explain to me a little bit about what Linkasoarus actually is? Because I know I've used it. I've loved it. I actually help 2 franchises right now currently with it. And you've grown it to an affiliate program. I mean, there's all these things. So give me a rundown of what it does and how it does provide that value to those people.
Yeah. So it really kind of started back in about 2017 when that was kind of my aha moment. I think in life and in business, you should always be a good listener and realize things that kind of change. It's kind of like your path in life. And so I had this epiphany, I would call it, where, like you mentioned, I'd be in these quote unquote corporate meetings, and they'd be sharing stuff that happened 6 months ago from somebody across, I'm in North Carolina, maybe in California. And I wasn't really in the loop, even though I was with the brand for 17 years or so at the time. I wasn't like in the know. It seemed like I'm not the franchisee, so the franchisees would kind of communicate with each other whenever they talked. And not that I'm like some little peon or anything, but I just wasn't in the know with these folks that have been in the business 20, 30, 40 years. And so it's quite frustrating being that guy that would take advantage of opportunity if I knew to do certain things from these folks that have been in the business a long time. And so I was like, all right, well, let me just create a platform that kind of linked everybody together. And that's really where the name Linkasoarus came from. It's spelled a little bit different. It's link, and the kind of the catchphrase, if you will, the mantra is link and soar with us. And so it's not spelled like a dinosaur per se. And side note, funny story, somebody's like, what are you gonna name this company? And I said, and it goes back to college. I know I keep referencing college, but in college, my guy friends would always say, this is something, a Saurus Rex. Oh man, that burger, if that was a dinosaur, it'd be a Saurus Rex. So that's it goes way all these like long time, funny internal joke, things. So I found a developer or developing company after talking to a family member who works with developers in the United States. And I sent him this proposal, and I think it was about $150,000 at the time. And they're like, that's to build it and not to manage it, tag it, good luck with it. And I was like, well, I don't have $150,000 sitting around. I can put it
right.
So then it was, all right, I got to think a little bit different. And then I just started doing some, research online, like where companies are, located. Maybe is the U.S. the best place to have people? And then I started looking at companies in India, and I started hearing, good and bad and different stories. And just through my asking, somebody was like, oh, I know somebody that has a well-established developer type company in Poland. And call it a coincidence, call it God's plan. My great grandparents are from Russia and Poland. So I'm like, all right, maybe there's a plan for this. And reached out to them, and I've been working with them since 2017, and they built this whole thing out. We have patents on it because anybody that I talk to in business are like, well, when it comes to tech, you don't want to have like Google or Amazon or whatever come in with billions of dollars and snatch up your idea, and now you got nothing. So got it going, and first year of using the platform, and there's all this social media stuff and just to make your job easier. But I was sharing with our franchisee, he's like, why are we seeing so much more success compared to the other markets in the United States? And I was like, well, here's what I built on my own free time that I really don't have much of, on my own money. And he couldn't believe it. He's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And so not knowing anything, he was trying to explain this to all our franchisee friends. And I was like, oh, this is something that other people might benefit from. And so what's happened since pretty much late 2018, when I kind of made it available for anybody, is when the users of the platform, it's an all online based, it's called a SaaS company, services as software. When people are logged in, they join a brand. And so, for example, if you're Domino's Pizza United States, that's a brand. If you're Domino's Pizza Canada, even though you're still under the Domino's brand per se, now globally, they kind of do things different. They have different pricing. And this could be for any business where it's a multi-unit operator. I've talked to franchisees that have 50 grocery stores, And I'm like, oh, okay, well, if one grocery store manager is on the platform, they can see all of the content in real time, either currently happening, scheduled for the future, or looking back historically. Say, oh, my peer, if you will, at a different location, wherever they're located, this is what they're doing. They can see their analytics. They could say, oh, this seemed to work in their market. And then from a best practice sharing, they can, without even knowing that person, if they don't want their contact information is there, they can say, I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to try this. Or that's a good idea. I'm literally going to use that exact same content, the creative, the video, the content, whatever it is. Or that's really localized, but now I can work with my graphics artist or something that is, design, and say, take this and just tweak it a little bit so it works good, so it fits my particular location. And that's where the best practice sharing comes from. There's a lot of analytics that, like, all the analytics of all the different users on the platform for a particular brand are all shared. They're all kind of collected, so users can literally benchmark in real time against their peers within their brand. And that was another pain point that I had, because in our franchise, I'd have to ask corporate, hey, who's doing what where, so I could, but I was always waiting on stuff, and I'm just a really impatient person. So I'm like, I don't want to wait on you. I just want to have access to that in real time. And so that's kind of like the gist, if you will, of kind of where we're at right now with the best practice sharing.
Very cool. So for anyone that's out there and you might not understand what he's comparing Linkasoarus to, or what Linkasoarus is like, think of like Hootsuite or something like that on steroids, but branded. Okay. So just for anyone that might be unsure of what type of system we're talking about a system where we can plug in just a few things that I know that I love about it specifically. So if you're a restaurant owner, a grocery store owner, like he said, with 50 locations, you could plug in. My local grocery store puts out their sales flyer every Sunday. That's what they put on their Facebook page. Well, if I have 50 grocery stores, I'd have to log in and log out to 50 Facebook pages. It just doesn't work. And most other platforms out there are unaffordable when you get to that corporate model or that franchise model. They're just not anything anyone can afford. They get kind of ridiculous. Linkasoarus has got to be the best pricing I've seen, hands down, as well. But it's comparing apples to apples. You would compare your grocery stores to the same grocery stores out there, and I could blast one post to all 50 at the same time. So it's not only helping optimize, getting your posts out there, but it gives you those analytics. Like Ryan said, it gives you that data. And tell me a little bit about the Google review and the Yelp review, because it's not only just for Facebook posts, it's for connection with customers as well. So I know you saw a need there of responding to customers. A lot of places don't manage their online reviews because they either don't have the time, they find it tedious, they don't know how, but Linkasoarus puts it all in one place for you, which just seems to make it so efficient and so easy. So tell me a little bit about what transpired there too, because that's still social media kind of, but it's more online review platforms.
Yeah, I think a lot of people ask me, give me like a 2-sentence rundown of what the platform does. And it's a platform that allows you to manage your social media, manage your reputation, which is reviews, and best practice sharing. And it's all done at the local level. So, and you referenced another platform, because they've been around for, I don't know how long they've been around for. And the key difference, because I'm not trying to compete with people in that realm.
Right.
I have a very specific niche, if you will. And the platform allows the user, their physical retail location, if you will, to have a local voice. A lot of people ask me, for example, with Domino's, I'm trying to be viewed as the local mom and pop company that just so happens to be Domino's. And so all the content is localized, and that's something we have a patent on. So going back to publishing content, if you're, let's just say you're a 100-store franchise or 2-store franchise, it doesn't really matter, 2-location, business. when you schedule your content, when it gets published, the way the platform works, which is where the patent comes into play, is the content is then the message, if you will, is then kind of structured and written in with all your local content. So you might have your local hours, your local whatever it is, that gets almost like assigned to that content, and that's kind of helps the whole local stuff. Then from the review standpoint, like you mentioned, same kind of concept. You know, I don't want somebody to give, you know, like if I think there's a big company and I give a review, is that local company giving me a reply on my review? Are they interacting me locally? I really have no idea. Probably not. They probably have it linked to some kind of call center or somebody that manages it. The difference here, and really because it's probably too labor intensive. So I understood that at the franchise I was working with. We were averaging, 350 reviews a month. And so I was getting 350 Gmail email inboxes every single month just for Google. And I would have to take that review, read it. And if it was not a good one, then I'd have to figure out, okay, who is responsible for this? The manager, supervisor, whoever the regional person is, forward that email to them. They'd have to read it. They'd have to then ask me to reply to the review to get that person's information, because they don't typically give you their content information in review. And it was just unmanageable. I didn't even have the time, let alone pay somebody to do that. And so I was like, well, I got to fix this. And so now when you link your team and you add your team to the platform, let's just say you get a review for location 1, 2, 3, 4 in California, that whoever you want, manager, supervisor, team member, whoever it is at the location that you want to see the review, they get it in real time. So there's no delay. It's like you got a review at 5:01, by 5:02, you're going to get the review in your inbox or however you're going to get it. And then you can set up sort of gatekeeper functionalities on the platform where, let's just say you like your manager, but you don't trust them enough to put a live review out there, a reply to a review. So the manager can see it, read it, write the reply. It's custom to them. And then they either are approved based on their approval that the person that manages their account has given them, or it can go upline to maybe like a supervisor, somebody in the hierarchy of the company that says, hey, manager at this location just sent this reply to this review. What do you think? You can edit it. You can reply back, and it's on its way. But that alone was great, because then we could say, okay, all these reviews are getting managed within seconds. And I instantly saw the first company we're working with, the SEO went up, because for selfish reasons, Google wants people on their platform. And so I just was like, I had to see it in action. And so when we started replying to reviews within minutes or within an hour versus like days, the algorithm, I just suspected Google was like, all right, this is a very engaging company that wants to have a relationship with these reviewers, which are their customers. And so we noticed when people are searching, for example, a Domino's pizza or pizza near me or Domino's or something in that, that niche, our views just shot up. We dramatically, measurably, because there's analytics in the platform, that we're like, oh, we're being viewed more now because we're interacting with our customers. So we're getting sort of a double whammy. We're not ignoring our customers that just said you stink, and now we have, we're getting more views, and we're kind of outpacing the SEO compared to maybe some of our competitors. And so that was an unexpected positive benefit of some of these features. And on top of that, some people say, well, I don't have time to still do that. How can you fix this? And I know you work with some clients that probably have double or triple or even more the number of reviews. And so, from an account manager, you probably are taking advantage of some of the automated features. And it's very, very, very specific to where, if, let's just say, somebody gives you a 5-star review, you probably don't need to go in there and read it and give very specifics. Hey, thank you for name dropping such and such and such and such. You can set up automation. And so the platform will literally within, minutes after somebody just gave you, let's just say, a 5-star review with comments, a thank you. And it's personalized. It names them in the review. It gives them a thank you message based on what you wanted to say. And then it kind of signs it like an email signature. It said, hey, this is this person, contact information, thank you very much. And you could set up all these kind of triggers, if you will, based on how you want, your interaction with your customers to where, so then people aren't, their voice is being heard, but it's being heard quickly. And that's something I use the analogy of a team member at one of the locations I was working with. I said, if I walk in and you're in the front counter, over the counter, you just took my money, I look you dead in the eye and I said, this is awesome, thank you very much. And you just turn around and walk away. How is that being perceived from the customer? And that's what I look at if somebody's going to go through the effort of publicly saying you're great, you should publicly say thank you as fast as possible.
Right.
And that's what a lot of companies aren't doing that.
I agree. And I love that you pointed out the features that separate it because it really is unlike any other platform. And I love the fact that it allows you to have local management at each level and that gatekeeper, because that is a concern, especially in the quick service industry. There's a lot of turnover, unfortunately. And, that's where a lot of franchisees, CEOs, like people at the very top are going, yeah, but I don't want to put somebody that just started in charge. Well, you have that approval process. And I've seen that be so helpful for where a store can still manage it locally and be in charge of their online reputation and give that praise, help that customer do all the things they need to do without the company being worried of its reputation in general, of what's getting out there. So that feature alone is incredible. And the fact that there's no limit. So like I said, I work with companies that have 50, 60, 180 locations, and each one of them can have different managers, different levels of gatekeeping and approval processes to make sure that what is getting out to that customer is appropriate and good for the company. And I do use the automation. So the automation feature is amazing because, like you said, you don't need to personalize it too much for the 5-star review, because ultimately what can you say? You can only say thank you so many ways. But what I love about the product as well is that the store can get copied on it, so then they can see it, and if someone's name is mentioned in it, they can praise that team member. So it's not only for reputation, but it's also for team member retention, because if a team member is mentioned by name in a Google review, they need to get a shout out, they need to get praise at the store level. But like you said, what could you do about that? What could I do about that? Ultimately, all we could do is forward the email to whoever could actually praise that person. So I love that it really has made it, the local store management and local store marketing, so much easier. So tell me a little bit, I don't know what you can tell me, but what are your plans moving in? Because I know you're not stopping. Like, you've developed this amazing product with your developers. You're constantly looking for how you can make it better. You asked me for more feedback during the very beginning and still. So I know you rolled out some new features in the last month or two, an affiliate program. Tell me a little bit about the affiliate program, because I do have a large audience that likes affiliate marketing. So this could be an opportunity, especially for anyone listening that knows someone that could use this product, because it is a great opportunity to get affiliate marketing. And I love the comp plan.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I actually met with a company back in June. I'm not going to name their name, but they processed $1 billion by May of this year. And I was chatting with them because I'm always trying to just, because I don't know what I don't know. And they have an affiliate program, and it was a 2-tier structure. And so there's quote unquote network marketing, where I guess you can go unlimited, maybe depending on how the company step. And then you have maybe a little bit different structure. I think there's just laws and different things that apply. Well, this company did $1 billion in transactions by May of this past year. And I was like, well, I was asking them for advice. I was like, I want to roll this thing out. I want it to work. I want to provide value. And so it's pretty cool. So anybody that is an active user of the platform, and it's not necessary, but to kind of put things into context, if you're an active user, let's say you sign up and you're like an admin of your own account. When you have, we're going to use like McDonald's as an example. Let's say a McDonald's franchisee, or like, hey, you might want to check this thing out. If that franchisee says, yeah, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, I'm going to sign up. Well, you would earn 20% commission for life, either monthly or annually, depending on how that franchisee signed up. But that franchisee now is going to do one of probably a couple different things. They're going to add their team to the platform, just like every user is going to. Their managers, supervisors, different folks. And then they're more likely going to share the platform with a franchise friend, a peer. Because the company's really structured, the platform structured to where it grows exponentially in value as more quote unquote franchisees or individual business owners join the platform because of all the best practice sharing that kind of comes together, because everybody's doing their own thing. And then it just grows exponentially in value to all the different users. So if that franchisee says to, or business owner, I'm so used to saying franchisee. You don't have to be a franchise to be using this. But let's just say you have, another location or business owner and they're in the same brand. You refer to them. Now you're earning 20% off them for the life that they're on it. But if any of the folks that are in your organization, let's just say, because people talk, managers are usually networking with other managers within their niche or their brand, and they're talking to, let's just say, a manager, not necessarily the owner of another franchise within your brand, and they're like, "Hey, we're using Linkasoarus. Why aren't you guys using this?" I'm like, "What the heck is that all about?" "Oh, check this out." That manager can literally refer another franchise to the platform or business owner, and that manager themselves now can earn commission and for themselves, just being a manager, or whatever their position is. And then the franchisee of that same company earns another commission. So they earn a 5%, you can call it pass through, of their manager referring somebody. So I wanted the platform to almost like incentivize them to add as many people as possible to the platform. So one, they could make best use of the platform the way it's currently set up. But to encourage the people in the organization to best practice share. And so there's there's like a financial best practice share built in on top of just what the company has to offer. And that was just really important to me because I believe birds of a feather flock together. If you know somebody, you should want to share what's going on good. And sometimes I'll come across, folks within, my business, my industry, and they like to keep their trade secrets. And I want to kind of help push them past that and say, no, don't keep all the secrets to yourself.
Right.
Welcome people on. And so there's a 2-tier structure. You're either at 20% for directly referring somebody, and then anybody you referred, they earn 20, but then you earn sort of a 5% pass through. And that's for the life of the account. There's no minimum, there's no maximum. And it's not globally restricted. So we have all the legal stuff as far as European Union and all that stuff. So it's not necessarily something that's specific to, let's just say, the US.
Very cool. Very cool. So that is really unique, and I'm excited. I'm going to start DMing everyone that says franchisee on LinkedIn, because I love a good affiliate opportunity. So I am just so impressed. I'm so impressed with the platform, with your passion to continue, moving it forward and just rolling out and making it better and better and better. And tell me a little bit about, there's someone out there that's listening, because you've inspired me today with, you found a problem, and not necessarily selfishly, you found a problem for the company you were working for, and then you developed on your own time a solution for that problem, and then they loved it, and then you turned it into this big business. So that's really cool. Like, that took courage, and courage is my word of the year this year, because a lot of people feel you need confidence, and I feel you have to have courage to start, because confidence is built. That's just my opinion. But tell me a little bit about what you would say to that person out there listening that has an idea, that person that is an innovator, that's scared to jump into entrepreneurship. I mean, this is something that you and I've talked about. You're building this for your family's future. You're building this for your children and your family. So tell me a little bit about what you would say to that person that's scared to jump in with their idea.
I would, and I'm a big person on mindset, and it's taken me a while to get to where I am. But a couple things just from my mindset, courage, all that stuff is another person that's a billionaire. I was in a seminar and I'm like, I got one question for you. But I was told a while back that you have to, in so many words, become a different person to get to where you want to be in life. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm kind of a jokester, a little bit of a smart ass, like, you know me. I was like, I don't want to change who I am. They're like, no, but you have to kind of like evolve. And, you know, a person that makes $50,000 a year is not necessarily the person that makes 100. The person that makes $100,000 a year is not the same person to make $1 million a year. And so that was, you know, so your priorities in life change, and how you spend your time, and your stress tolerance, going back to, you know, somebody might be scared, is going to change. Well, when I was doing the whole rave thing, and I found out there was 18 inches of snow, and it didn't snow in Greenville, North Carolina. It's like,
Right.
so, you know, when I am financially not in a good situation when that rave happened, but I didn't have a panic attack. I didn't, I came through, and I was like, oh, okay. You know, it was stressful, but I came through it. When I was thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, like I knew there was something down deep inside me. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, you know, there's a calling for me, you know, we've talked about this. There's something in you that says, you know, you're here to do something big. You may not know exactly what it is. It may not even be what you're thinking of doing right now. But what you're thinking, or what you might do, if it's not that, more than likely is keeping you on path to going to what you're, you know, not to get biblical, but maybe what God's plan is for you.
Right.
And I will say, from a stress standpoint, I would ask as many entrepreneurs, people that have their businesses, what they like about it and what they don't. I had a friend from college who started a restaurant. She's like, it's the most rewarding and hardest thing I've ever done. Kind of like kids. You know, kids are like by far the hardest thing, but by far the most rewarding, I hear. And I have 3. So, but I think getting past your fear of it not working out, instead of focusing on the fear of continuing doing what you're doing and not even giving it a try. And then we talked about this a little bit before, but once you get going, it's, I kind of use the term like juggernaut. You know, a juggernaut is, you know, I'm not into comics, but a juggernaut is like the guy that you can't stop him. Once he has momentum, he can't stop. And when you start a company, you are more likely at some point you're going to have some financial, you know, investment. And a lot of stuff I know you do, which you can start with very little investment, which some people can't even wrap their mind around. They're like, it's too good to be true. And they're like, no, you know,
right. Right.
Like, they won't invest $1,000 in a course or in your coaching or whatever. And you're like, I'm not asking you to college for 4 years. I'm like, you imagine what you're going to learn from like some of the stuff that you do. So it's getting to a point where you're like, okay, I've already had this many hours invested. I've invested this amount of money. I've spent this much time away from my family. I have all these things in the works. It's like, well, now I owe it to myself to see it through.
Exactly.
And you know, just to give a, you know, personal, some people like say, oh, you must have had easy run, or what'd you do? I had, just being very transparent, I got to a point where I was already 100 grand into my company. No money coming in. And I was just getting ready once I was like, this is something I want to do. And I was getting ready to get my merchant services established. And I got the big no. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I was partnering with a bank, and they pull like background checks and all that stuff. It's different than like working with Stripe, where they're kind of like, they kind of broker stuff.
Right.
But I was going with my bank because it's the you know, just whatever. So I was going with my bank, and they're like, well, your background, your identity and your all this stuff is all whack. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it looks like you opened up an account 5 years ago and your credit shot and you have all these fraudulent things on your account. This is like legit. I'm like, holy mackerel. I can't. My developers are like, we can't proceed because you can't get approved to have a merchant services account. It took about 6 months of working with the police. I'm like, police reports, all this stuff to like kind of prove my quote unquote innocence. And then finally, after all this documentation, kind of getting my business credit fixed, that was hacked basically. Finally, they're like, okay, cool. You know, we can go through. And I'm like, but for 6 months, I had like all this debt, paying interest on it. My wife's like, what's going on here? You know, so there's it. I could have, if I was at that point where I was just like, well, I'm just going to quit, then I wouldn't be at a point right now where I can say, hey, look at all these folks that are seeing value in something that I could have just quit on. And the big underlying, or overlying macro level view that I have from an entrepreneurship standpoint is, and somebody told me this a long time ago, I always reference other people because I'm always listening, is if you can help enough people get what they want, whatever that is, then you'll have everything you want in life.
Agreed.
And so I think if you're listening and you have like a passion and you're thinking, I want to start something, I got this idea for something, think if you can help enough people, see value in what you're doing, then there's a feel good that comes from that, regardless of if there's a monetary thing or not. There's definitely a feel good from like, I helped this person. I know you have tons of testimonials from the stuff that you do. That just feels good. And then if you can do it enough and there's some financial gain that doesn't come at somebody else's expense, but it's coming from them saying thank you, or literally thanking you monetarily, then everybody wins. And that's the greatest thing ever. And that's what I hope for with all this.
I love that. I hope y'all caught this, because there were so many good things he said. And I don't even know that I could recap all of them, but you hit the nail on the head with the mindset. It really is what you focus on is what gets results. If you're focused on what's going wrong instead of what's going right, you're going to get more wrong. If you focus on, if it's all about you and what your needs are and growing your business instead of helping other people win, you're never going to see that. So there's so many good things that you said. I appreciate all of them, because I talk on mindset a lot. And I almost feel like an imposter when I talk about mindset, because I'm still working on my mindset, right? So my mindset's always evolving. And just like you, I go up to, my coach is a seven-figure earner. And I'm like, tell me what to do. I'll do it. Like, just tell me what to do. And I mean, that's literally what I do, because I'm like, success leaves clues, and I want to learn from the people who have paved that way. And like you said, if you're too scared to invest $1,000 to get a coach, that, or start a business, then you're really going to get scared when you're 100,000 in and you're like, oh God, this is not working. So you really have to work on the mindset first. And it's not too late if you're already in it. I didn't work on my mindset first. I started the business. I got super overwhelmed. And then I was like, okay, something's not going right here. And I hired a coach. And that's when I realized I was focused on all the things going wrong. I wasn't scaling. I wasn't hiring help. And so you really did. That was the best answer. I couldn't have told you to say that if I wanted to. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. And I got so many notes. I wanted to almost write all these things down, because I'm like, I need to pick his brain about that. I need to pick his brain about that. I always get a really creative space after talking with you. It's just nice to bounce ideas off you. It's been nice to work with you. I will make sure that the links for Linkasoarus and to connect with Ryan on his LinkedIn and his social platforms is also in the show notes for anybody that's watching this. Go connect with him, go follow him, and learn from him, because again, success leaves clues. And I know that Linkasoarus is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And if you know somebody out there that owns multiple businesses, because you said it doesn't have to be just a quick service, right? They could be a restaurant. It could be somebody with multiple locations. It could even be two. Correct. Yep. Okay. So please,
we have users that users that their brand is a two location brand. Like, so it's not just that, because there's so many other features, kind of what we talked about. And I think you were hinting around like some new features coming. I will say a little note that we are trying to keep up with the times. And so AI, we've been testing, and Tuesday, you'll see it on the account you manage. AI is the start of it, starts to go live on Tuesday. We got 2023 is going to have a lot of very cool things. And
I saw it on one of your posts that's already scheduled. I was like,
yeah, it's going to be huge.
I saw it on there, and I was like, it's coming. It's coming. So just know that partnering with a company like Linkasoarus, Ryan's going to keep it up to date. I've used several platforms that are so out of date for other clients, and you continuing to grow and refine and make it better and better and better is just huge. So thank you so much for being here with me today. And until next time, y'all, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome. Bye, guys.